Here begins the tale of how a lowly tarnished with no potential became the most celebrated lord in all of the lands between. His glory was given to him by stumbling across a powerful ancient ash of war. You see, this tarnished was, for a lack of a better word, a loser.
You, I am afraid, are maidenless.
You are maidenless.
You are a mere visitor to the Round Table, nothing more.
You are fated to die in obscurity.
Geralt Redmane couldn't even best the first powerful enemy on his path out of Limgrave. But despite being told to put his foolish ambitions to rest 1,000,000 times, he wouldn't let his dreams die. One fateful day, everything changed for Geralt. As our lowly tarnished was wandering through the dangerous lands of Caelid, collecting butterflies and flowers to craft good-natured weaponry to take down his arch-nemesis, Margit, he found something very, very curious. Glowing footprints were moving across the land near the Fort Gael north side of Grace. He followed them, but frustrated with not being able to speak to this invisible creature, he gave him a light tap as he approached on his path. To his surprise, his feeble swing had killed the creature, something he had never managed to do to anything or anyone before. Born from this brief act of violence, an unquenchable thirst for blood, and the desire to burn the world. By chance, he'd ignited an ancient ash of war from his ancestral bloodline, the ability to breathe flames. He dubbed his new ability as Flame of the Redmanes.
Flame of the Redmanes!
This newfound ability would bring any man or beast to the knees with just 2 to 4 breaths. This gave Geralt the opportunity to shove his dagger through their skull or chest with a delightful critical attack. No longer were his enemies laughing at him, but instead they were kneeling for forgiveness and paying for their insolence. By using the Flame of the Redmanes throughout all of his battles, Geralt took pleasure in watching his enemies burn alive while they posed no challenge to him whatsoever. He set the world ablaze and quickly became Elden Lord.
So yeah, this Ash of War is the cat's pajamas. Flame of the Redmanes is an Ash of War that you can find right at the beginning of the game, and it trivializes most boss and enemy encounters. I've used every Ash of War in the game, but when I'm having a rough go of things, I pull out my dearest flames. The crazy thing about this Ash of War is that it breaks most enemy stances in just 2 uses, allowing you to critical hit them, cast a gnarly spell, or just pet their head like a good boy. This Ash of War pairs great with a dagger for extra critical hit damage. Or, if you're like me, you'll end up putting it on your main weapon because it's just so damn versatile. It clears enemy groups like nothing else due to its wide angle of coverage. It has very respectable range and can be freely aimed by unlocking your camera. It can do heavy damage with the fire affinity and strength scaling, plus any damage boosting talismans you might have. And the ability to incapacitate most enemies after just 2 hits is insane. If the enemy is susceptible to fire, like a fur-covered beast, they can even be stance broken in just 1 flame shot. One of the things that makes this Ash of War so versatile is that it can be applied to any weapon type. Fists, colossal weapons, swords, daggers, it doesn't matter. Throw it on there to switch things up. I like that because you don't have to sacrifice using a single type of weapon if you want the power this Ash of War provides. Flame of the Redmanes is located in Caelid near the Fort Gael North site of Grace. If you turn your back to the fort and walk about 100 yards away from it, you'll come across an invisible beetle. The fastest way to get there is by riding on horseback instead of doing any type of teleportation. It's right near the border of Limgrave past Summonwater Village. This is honestly the first thing I'll be going for in my new character runs, as it's very easy to get and it's extremely powerful at any level. Quick tips for using Flame of the Redmanes. If you are dealing with any sort of incline or verticality, it's better to manually aim the flames by unlocking off of your target. You can hit an enemy with Flame of the Redmanes as soon as they start to do their animation to stand back up after being critically hit, which will count towards the 2 shots to break their poise, meaning you can basically do an endless loop of critical hits on slow enemies without them being able to do anything. The fire affinity used for this Ash of War scales with strength, or you can use the flame affinity for faith builds. But even if you have no points put into these stats, it will still break an enemy's stance in typically 2 shots. Some bosses might require 3 or 4 shots. The fire damage of the Ash of War will increase with the level of the weapon it's applied to and your stat scaling for that weapon. The flames actually linger in the air for a few moments during the cast, so enemies can actually run into them even if they're originally going to miss. Flame of the Redmanes is really good against flying enemies and fast-moving enemies that are hard to hit. I really love this Ash of War because it's not completely mindless. It takes some skill and good tactics to use. You'll have to figure out the correct distance and situations to use it, as well as how to get the most out of comboing the poise break with different attacks or abilities. Alright, that's it guys. If you want to see a cool rune farm I found that primarily utilizes Flame of the Redmanes, click the video above. Have a good day. Good luck in the lands between. Shinobi, out.
Join myself and King as remedy. Together we will devour the very gods.